And if you want to light the fire under yourself to have a meeting, pull one of your salespeople's calls when you're not around and listen to their call, and you will start doing meetings.
If you're not willing to do meetings every day, do not have salespeople.
Hey, Craig.
Let's get into some coffee talk.
Hey, I love it. I love doing some coffee talk.
Well, talk about what?
Dogs, daughters, whatever. It's coffee talk.
Coffee talk.
Back for the deuce.
This is the deuce.
Yep.
So let's drop this one.
Let's drop this deuce right here. The deuce 6-step success secret sauce numero deuso is, what is it, Mr. Jason?
Sales. You didn't think we were going to leave that one out, did you?
No, we're going to drop it here like it's hot.
Drop it like it's hot.
As a deuce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's dive into this. So we talked about, I think, marketing the last time, which marketing sales are kind of the same. Yep. But I think in an agency, there's some important parts to sales.
100%.
100%.
Yeah.
The olden days, it would
those are my days.
Yeah. So when Craig was in his middle age, Craig, let's say, he would have to go around door knock. He would save business cards. It was little pieces of paper you'd put in your wallet. You'd have a big old fat wallet.
I'd put it in my Rolodex, Mr. Jason.
Rolodex. I don't even know these things. Something called a Rolodex. Craig would put them in, and that's how you would, keep track of clients and stuff. Well, it was all up to like a Mr. Craig or Mr. Jason or your sales peeps. But now with internet leads or any kind of lead source, people are busy. So you have to talk to a lot of people in order to get the kind of sales that we want to get.
Yeah.
So,
and we're competing for their attention, right?
Yes. Competing for their attention.
Yeah. 10,000 ads a day. They see.
Right.
I keep cutting you off.
The stats. Yeah. So we'll talk about not only sales from the salesperson, but all the tools to help that person. And the way I look at it is like, if you can have one person, if you can add tools to their tool belt that allows them to do the work of 3 or 4 or 5 people, well, that's quite the savings.
Yeah.
Right, Mr. Craig?
It is. It's funny. Like when there's somebody, when we're doing, talking to an agency, whether it's consulting or somebody that's on Teledudes, and they start hemming and hawing about adding a seat in a system, and they're like, well, that's $130 a month, but it's going to get you 700 dials a day. How many dials are they making now? Right? If they're making, they're making 300 dials. Yeah.
Organizing the leads,
right?
Sending out text if you're not a captive, sending out emails. Really, the whole process, it automates the process,
right? So
everybody's saving. Like if that person's saving, an hour a day, think about your manager saving a few hours a day. I mean, all the time for you as the owner, like you're saving time through multiple people per person by just adding these systems.
And you're getting twice the output out of one person. So you could hire 2 and whatever your base is, let's say it's $3,000 each, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, you just saved $3,000 by putting something that's $150 to get that person that's already there, that fixed 3,000 twice the activity. So really it's the proverbial no-brainer.
No-brainer. Plus now your process is flawless. So now those calls are going to be made flawlessly, let's say 2 hours after the first call or 6 hours or a day later, whatever it may be. Now, every time a lead is called 2 hours later, this is going to happen. Like it creates the consistency. There's no chance that your team is going to perfectly do things the same way every time. That's why we need training and stuff. So any part that you can automate is a huge win.
Right. So the converse of that, every piece that you humanate, right, that you put in the human element, there's a likelihood that the consistency will drop by a magnitude, maybe 2 magnitudes.
1,000%.
Yeah, we're talking in weird units, magnitudes, and 1,000 percentages, but we're gonna keep it rolling. So
keep it rolling.
Yeah, so we talked. So systems, all those systems are super important, and then that CRM obviously super important because back in the day, if we want to go back to the olden days, I used to have file folders. Remember how you came into the agency, you saw the files, and you said and they're all gone, right? And I actually ended up doing that too, but we had folders like labeled folder 1, folder 2, corresponding with the day of the month. So it was our own, it was the best human CRM. But still, if you were out, you missed a day. And then it just starts piling up. And this is just so much quicker, right? Why torture yourself?
I agree. And so it can help you automate a lot of your systems. You still need a system for your sales process. You still need a system for, like we always talk about, scripts. You don't have to follow the script perfectly every time, like especially if you have like a seasoned salesperson, but you need a framework that they're following so that you can tell that if you switch something, that it's either going to get you better results or worse results. When everybody's just doing their own thing, you just, why is Sally good? I don't know. Why is Sally good?
Because she can create rapport. That's it. But then she's not following some process, right? And you can't fix it. You can't look, investigate, and train to. So especially when you bring somebody on and brand new, if you can't just throw them on the phone and say, all right, go sell some insurance, because 10 different people are going to do it 10 different ways. And also, I think on 10 different calls, it's going to be done 10 different ways by each person. So it's just nothing. There's no way to diagnose what's not working if it isn't working. Right?
Yep.
You can only go so far on natural ability. So if Sally is really good at rapport, that's going to get her somewhere, right? Because she's making friends, but she still needs to have the tools in her toolbox or tool belt to be able to overcome objections, to be able to talk about the different coverages and provide a story and all those things.
Yep. So we talk about CRM, systems for everything. Put a system for every part of the sales process so that you, to Craig's point, when you hire the new person, boom, you plug them in and then they follow the same system. Otherwise, that can be tough too, because you bring somebody in to mirror somebody. They're sitting at the desk watching the other person. They're not really doing anything. They get the expectation that, hey, you can kind of not do anything at this job. And then that usually goes pretty south if you do it that method. Whereas if you have a system that you can just, hey, this is our system, it gives them the confidence too when they come in to be able to jump right in, because they, just follow this. Oh, perfect. They don't have to figure it out, which is a horrible feeling. I've been in that position. It's the worst.
100%. And here's another, I think, important tidbit is as we're training our people for sales, remember, if they're in the sales capacity at the office, that's what they do. They're sales. So the product knowledge, all of those other things come secondary in the beginning. We have to first make sure that the person that we bring on can do the activity and function as the salesperson, because what we're going to find out very quickly is whether or not they can or cannot be if they're coachable, and whether they'll actually do the things we ask, like whatever, it's 100 dials a day, if it's 200 dials a day, if it's this many quotes. We got to first find that out, because they're going to get an understanding up front if we're holding them accountable to those things right up front. They're going to get an understanding of that versus waiting. And then on the, where we train them, this is how this policy works, this is how this works, and all that stuff, we set them up for complacency. So we want to start with the highest priority thing. They're going to learn all of it, and all of it is very important, but we don't want to waste our time paying for somebody to learn something that if afterwards we then train on sales and then we find out, they can't close and they're not listening to how I'm helping coach them. Well, then all that month of teaching them about the policies, who cares, right? It was a waste of time.
Yep.
That's something that I really picked up from you, Mr. Jason, and it works very well.
You Craig, Mr. Craig.
Cray.
Yes. So phone, another tool for a salesperson is your phone. Again, training on the handling the phone. You could definitely elicit different responses. How do we handle everything that goes on with the phone? Because the hardest thing to do is get somebody on the phone. That's the hardest, at least in 2021. The hardest thing that got harder in 2021 over 2020 was getting people on the phone. I think it will become even more tough. So how we handle the phone is very important.
Right. Each connection with a human is gold.
Valuable. Yeah.
Whether or not at that moment they're interested in a quote, because frankly, nobody is, right? We say it all the time. Nobody's interested in that quote. And so it's critical that opportunity, that connection has the best swing taken at it as possible. And that requires sales training.
Right. Yep. Then there's texting.
Oh, wait, hold on. Also with that system, I'm a big fan, I know you are too, of a phone system where you don't even need a phone, where it's just a soft phone. I know our carrier has just come out with one that's just phenomenal. And that's great, to use a system like that, and just love it. So really important to make sure that and then invest in the technology for it, right? The headphones, some of these headphones are super expensive, but guess what? The ones that can cancel out the noise around, all of that is important on that call, because the environment is very critical for selling. If they hear a blah, 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 they hear all this noise in the background, it's really distracting, right? It's like calling Mr. Jason at his house. And you hear
that
all
is a good
screaming.
Yeah, you hear all the screaming in the background. Dude, that's probably one of the best tips that seems insignificant, but it really is. Hugely. Invest in a really good headset. And it seems like such a waste of money, but man, I promise you're going to save so many clients that would normally get frustrated and bounce off the phone call. You're going to save so many by investing in the right ones that can cancel out the sound from around them.
Yep.
And you're also going to save your salespeople. They got to wear these things all day. So I'm like, it's one of those tools in our tool belt that we can skimp on. Buy the expensive one. Hands down, best investment.
Yeah. I used to buy the cheapo, like $60 or $80. And I thought, it's so expensive, $80. And now the ones that we get are like, what, $270 or something?
Yeah.
I think the Jabra 75, is it 70? I can't remember. We have a stack of them.
65
like we have extras because if it busts, and they're going to break, we don't want somebody to not have one. So there's extra ones. It's that important. It really is critical, because I remember calling the office and talking to somebody, and they were on one of the cheapos, and I could hear everything in the background. It was echoing. And I'm like,
it's so
holy crap. I'm like, what headphone are you using? And they're like, the one you bought me. And I'm like, oh no, we have to change this immediately, because they're all next to each other. You want your salespeople next to each other so they can feed off each other, and that thing has to be able to cancel that out. And they need to be able to hear and not hear the noise, so it cancels out on the ears and it cancels out on the mic. It's really, really, it's super important.
Super important. Okay, we're coming up on. Well, this is starting to get long. So let's say for the phone. There's also text and email. It's all the same thing. These are all extremely important. The way we handle each one of those, make sure you're investing in, for emails, make sure that subject line, it's the only thing that's going to get somebody to click into the email. So make sure your subject lines are fire, induce curiosity so that they go into the email. Make sure that the emails are very specific to have specific calls to action, all that. But like, take it seriously. I know a lot of us don't set up emails and stuff like that to go out, where it's like, man, if you're going to pick up even 2% of, you can get maybe 1%. Yeah. So it's going to help with your overall acquisition, even if it's very slight. I know with agencies, it's probably the least, it's probably the lowest end of the totem pole, but texting's huge. So when you text, make sure that there's a process for the text handling, because you don't want to, again, it's just
an approved system. Depending 100%. On who you're with. I want to speak real quick to the email. If you want hints on emails, just read the emails you get that you normally delete. Like, look at the title, look at what's in there. And to Jason, what Jason said, that title or the subject line is super important. It's written a certain way to get you open it.
Yeah.
I mean, I know everybody listening to this opens the ones that we send. When I put that title up there, I get you to open it because it's a freaking awesome title.
And then last but not least, meetings.
Oh, definitely
for
not
sales.
Least.
For sales, it's the one system that you got to create in the agency. Number one thing for sales is meetings. If your salespeople don't have meetings daily, it's ludicrous.
Yep. I used to hate meetings. I used to hate having meetings. We would never do meetings, and we got the results that align with what happens. If you want to change your agency immediately, do a meeting every day. And in a month, you're going to see all of a sudden those reps are going to pay off. You're going to see dramatic improvement. And if you want to light the fire under yourself to have a meeting, pull one of your salespeople's calls when you're not around and listen to their call, and you will start doing meetings.
If you're not willing to do meetings every day, do not have salespeople. It's not worth it.
Don't buy leads.
Bad investment. Yeah.
But it moves the needle. I mean, there isn't something that's had more impact than that in our agency. It doesn't have to be long. It's not 3 hours long. It can be as short as 5-10 minutes, but you got to get them together, have the camaraderie, get them pumped up, because, one of them is upset because something happened at home and blah, blah, blah. And you got to get them all out of their head, get them pumped up, and practice something that they're going to execute on today.
So that's it. That's number one right there. Do that. If you're not doing that, don't wait till next year. Don't wait. Honestly, if you're not doing that right now, jump in and have a meeting with your salespeople.
Yeah. And yesterday, one last story, because I like to take it long. Well, that was weird. Is yesterday on the Elite call, one of the people, because we were diagnosing any challenges anybody was having. And one of them was like, it's struggling to get the people to close. And I said, how often are your meetings? And he said, well, we're kind of not really doing any meetings. And there you go. There's the problem, right? So we solved that, got him to promise he's going to do meetings. And I'm certain in a couple of weeks, there's going to be a huge improvement. It
cannot not improve unless the meetings are just a complaint fest. But
so if you do meetings, then
that's the one. Yeah.
You cannot not have improvement.
Yes, 100%.
And
this is our second to last
coffee talk.
And that's a
coffee talk. Coffee talk. We'll see you. Bye.
Hey, Jason.
Yes, Mr. Craig.
That was another awesome episode, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if people want to get a little bit more action and learn how to write 100,000 in premium off of even the worst internet leads, where could they go?
They can go to live.teledudes.com.
Ooh, that sounds exciting. Are we going to be there?
Yes. It's a weekly call that we're doing right now it's live, and it will show you the process. The entire process is super awesome.
I love it. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Sign up right now. Live.teledudes.com.
Live.teledudes.com. That's live.teledudes.com.
Hey, Craig, there's a new community that we are starting that I cannot wait to tell everybody about. It is our live texting community where you and I are going to answer people's questions and give them free content, right?
Are you kidding me? We get to talk to them?
Yeah, which is awesome, but they have to opt in. They have to text us at 520-214-2219. That's 520-214-2219.
Nice.
Craig, are you going to respond to these texts?
I'm going to respond to them for sure. Live.
I'm into it too. It's going to be awesome. And it's going to be our new texting community where we're going to get back to everybody that we can and drop some crazy content, free content, and free the calculator that you just came up with. That's right. The calling calculator, sales material. I mean, everything for insurance agents. This is it. It's the best texting community out there for insurance agents.
Well, what the heck is that number again? I can't remember it.
It's 520-214-2219. That's 520-214-2219.
I love it. I'm going to text it right now.
520-214-2219.
All right. I'll see you later, Mr. Jason.
Bye, Mr. Craig.
Wait, do they even listen to this on the radio anymore?
I love it. I love it.
Nice.
All right.